have a mansion. In the post-apocalyptic world by Morningstar LL. Chapter 21, Work for me? Why don't you work for me? He stared out the window as night fell. It was getting pretty late. He peeked at the clock, and it pointed directly at 12. At that moment, he realized there was something wrong. There were only 3 pairs of female shoes there, but he always thought she had a boyfriend. I am staying pretty late, is your friend not going to be jealous? Jiang Chen casually asked but soon noticed the gloom on Xiaoshiyu's face. Immediately, he realized what happened. He knew someone as smart as Xiaoshiyu would not borrow money from sketchy sources. Then the only option was that after she had lost her job, he loaned under her name. That also explained why she was left helpless in this old and torn-down apartment. Your man's a trash and a half. Jiang Chen stood up for her. He's not my man. Xiaoshiyu replied with the same emotionless tone. Why don't you go home? Her apathetic tone made Jiang Chen quite shocked. So to avoid the awkwardness, he changed the subject. I don't want to bring trouble home. The resilience on her face touched Jiang Chen. She was definitely capable. He thought that maybe it was because upper management had a thing with her. But he was too quick to judge. For a renowned brand, the upper management was not the type to think with the lower half of the body. To be honest, I am impressed. Jiang Chen said to Xiaoshiyu with sincere. Really? The tone of her voice was filled with self-mockery. For some strange reason, the second she opened her mouth, Jiang Chen saw a glimpse of wretchedness in her eyes. Perhaps it was not that, perhaps it was weariness. As a woman, after all the ups and downs she has gone through, she still stayed strong. Jiang Chen didn't know what would comfort her. He was not too good at comforting women in general. Or else he wouldn't be single for 20 years. Silence ensued again. Do you want to listen to my story? Jiang Chen nodded. She told him everything that happened after she fired Jiang Chen. The store was facing sales problems, and the headquarters was questioning her ability. From a bunch of anonymous complaints to holding the notice of termination, she felt a mixture of emotions when she left the place. Unemployed, cheating, and gang harassment, she was running out of options, and she finally decided to flee from her apartment and hide there. What pushed her from despair to hopelessness was hearing the proud voice of her parents on the other side of the phone. However, she couldn't express her sorrow to them. She could only answer against her will that she was okay, and everything was fine. Her parents were too old to accept this travesty. Jiang Chen also felt the same heartache when he lost his job. She was not seeking sympathy, she only wanted someone to talk to because she was too tired. However, this person only showed up now. You are very strong. If there's anything I can do to help, feel free to call me. Thanks, but I don't need sympathy. Xiaoshiyu smiled as she rubbed her teary eye. Smiled? Her? Jiang Chen was stunned. Is there something on my face? Xiaoshiyu felt quite shy after Jiang Chen's eyes were locked on her. No. But this is my first time seeing you smile. He blankly nodded. He knew that if he looked in the mirror right now, he would look extremely foolish. Haha, Xiaoshiyu burst out in laughter. She was also stunned because she realized that she was laughing. Not only was she laughing but she was laughing joyfully. Well, is it that funny? Jiang Chen pretended to cough as he awkwardly rubbed his head. You are very funny. Why is it in a questioning tone? Jiang Chen rolled his eyes as he looked defeated. Now that I told you my story, can you tell me yours? She rubbed her eyes. Her softened expression made her face as pristine as snow. She has such an adorable face, why would she remain so cold every day? Jiang Chen murmured in his mind. Me? There really is not much to say. I made some money with my own business. Jiang Chen guiltily made up an unsophisticated lie. Xiaoshiyu slightly frowned and looked unhappily at Jiang Chen. She didn't even realize such a girly expression appeared on her face. I don't believe it. Well, there is nothing I can do about it. He opened his palms. Some secrets must be kept hidden forever. But, I do believe you'll be an excellent manager. Are you interested? This was Jiang Chen's other consideration. Open a company and let Xiaoshiyu work for him. Exchanging for gold is not a long-term strategy. One day people will question his source of income. If the government noticed him, he would have to live on the other side of the earth. The best way was to open a company. He even thought about the name. It will be called Futuristic Technology. His plan was to gather all the garbage from the apocalypse and introduce groundbreaking, innovative products. iPhone, Microsoft, and Samsung will all be names of the past. Could they be as innovative as technology from 200 years later? Even the computer screen was made by full sensory technology. If they produced the technology that only existed in sci-fi, all the consumers in the world would go insane. This was only in the electronic devices. Blizzard's, EA, and Ubisoft would go lunatics over the virtual reality technology. Once a matured virtual reality technology debuts in the market, no one would want to play with a mouse and controller anymore. Then it would be home appliances, cars, military tech, and even technology for space exploration. The possibilities were endless. The reason why he chose Xia Shiyu was simple. He couldn't find anyone else, and he trusted her ability. Although they had a conflict in the past, Jiang Chen realized he forgave her quite easily. Maybe it was because she was not a bad person, or maybe it was because of how similar their experiences are. So when Xia Shiyu hit rock bottom, Jiang Chen reached out to help her and recruited her. Interested? Xia Shiyu was still unclear about what Jiang Chen meant. How many years would you have to work in the flower shop to pay me back? And since you are unemployed, I just found a job for you. You own the company? Xia Shiyu looked at him questionably. What, I can't. I am excited to see my ex-manager work diligently under me. He said jokingly. But he looked quite serious. She closed her eyes to consider the proposition for a moment. It was quite attractive to her. She didn't have any reason to reject it. I accept. Excellent. Jiang Chen laughed and extended his hand. Welcome on board, Manger Xia. You are hired by Futuristic Technology, and your starting salary will be 10,000. The salary was comparable to her previous job. Jiang Chen's generosity made her feel confused. After so long, he already made this much progress in his career? She shook Jiang Chen's hand. The warm but coarse feeling made her slightly tremble. That's a hefty salary you are paying. However, just to be clear, I will not do any sexual favors. Astonishingly, she was surprised she got the job. Jiang Chen was completely stunned. He was amazed by the glimpse of charm she displayed. The icy beauty made a dirty joke. Haha, of course not. But the company does not condone nor prevent employees from seducing the president. The righteous beauty was obviously no match with Jiang Chen in terms of dirty jokes. After she heard the word seduce, her face flushed with anger. But to her surprise, she was more embarrassed than angry. What's the reason? Can I get a brief description of the company? Known for her professionalism, she quickly recollected herself. She headed straight to business. Futuristic Technology, the company sounds like a firm that specializes in the technology sector. What am I in charge of? Sales, or research and development? If it is R&D, although I don't any experience in the area, I am confident that I will be familiar with the responsibilities within a month. Stop right here. Jiang Chen signaled Xia Shiyu to stop talking. With her question-filled eyes fixed on Jiang Chen, he cleared his throat. In simple terms, you are the CEO. Therefore you take care of everything. Let the secretary do everything was the way Jiang Chen imagined to be a boss. He didn't have the energy to manage people. Xia Shiyu's face all of a sudden turned concerned. She never heard of the Futuristic Technology at all. Currently, the company is still in planning stage. Jiang Chen answered the question she was worried about as if it was not a big deal at all. Don't you feel excited? You'll be the Steve Jobs of Hua, and I will be the Bill Gates of Hua. With passion, he stated the quote that he always wanted to say. He finally had the opportunity to say it. Wait, why do you have your phone out? I am reserving a hospital bed for you. Her look expressed which type of hospital she was sending him to written all over it. Wait, you. She grabbed her phone and convinced her to let him finish. If you don't join us right now, you'll regret it in 5 years. Just like how no one believed in Jack Ma. Wait, don't call. Jiang Chen calmed the almost furious Xia Shiyu with a smile. He was not talented in giving pep talks. He didn't know how to recruit and excite people. He wanted to use what he has learned through WeChat marketing, but it made him even more suspicious in the end. Simple, your position is the CEO. However, since the company doesn't have a lot of business right now, why don't you take care of the position of general manager as well? At this stage, I'll pay you 10,000 a month. You don't need to repay me with this money. I really don't care about such a small amount of money. Maybe in the future, your salary would be far above the amount of loan. Don't look at me like that. I am not joking. Your next task is simple. I'll wire you 500,000 so you can incorporate the company. You don't have to worry about what happens next. In 2 months, you'll be extremely busy. She sighed as she stared at the Jiang Chen who was feeling great about his speech. Are you not afraid I'll take the money and run? You are not that kind of a person, Jiang Chen disagreed. Also, 500,000 to learn about a person is worth it. Compared to what the company will be worth in the future. Since she still couldn't find a job and owed money, Xia Shiyu made up her mind and agreed. Years later, Xia Shiyu would still be grateful when asked about this day. When media asked about how she almost rejected Jiang Chen's offer, she would just emotionally say one sentence. Sometimes a split-second decision makes a difference between a billionaire and poverty. It's late now. I'll head back. It was almost 1 a.m. She stood and walked Jiang Chen to the door. Don't forget to send me your bank account number. I'll prepay your July salary. You'll get paid at the end of the month. Also, find somewhere nice to live. It's not safe to live here, especially for a beauty like you. The exact contract can only be made when the company is incorporated. However, Jiang Chen was not too bothered by the details. He had faith in her loyalty. Xia Xiyu blushed when she heard Jiang Chen call her a beauty. A lot of people called her that before, but this was the first time her heart started to pump faster. She didn't display her feminine side this time and nodded calmly. Okay. That's all from me. I have to leave for a couple of days, so you might not be able to reach me. Jiang Chen turned around and left. Wait. Jiang Chen turned back. Thank you. You looked very handsome when. At Jiang Chen's surprised look, Xia Xiyu slammed the door shut. This girl, is she interested in me? Jiang Chen thought joyfully. But, it could just be a simple thanks. He didn't think too much of it. She leaned behind the closed door and slowly slid onto the ground. The cold feeling of the porcelain tile pressed against her smooth leg made her mixed emotions slightly calmer. What happened there? Why did I say something so embarrassing? She covered her face as she tried to hide the tingling sensation in her hands. Her lips slightly trembled. That was so embarrassing? I want to die. In humiliation, she hid her head between her legs. Chapter 22, Sanya Vacation. Sanya, located at the southern tip of Hainan Island, was also known as Lu City. It was renowned as the eastern Hawaii and the top tourist city in Han. It possessed the most stunning views of the ocean. Beach, ocean, and bikinis. It was the haven for vacationers. The slightly salty sea wind carried the fragrance of coconuts. Here, there was no worry about toxic gas and no concern about smog. The city welcomed tourists with the pristine sky and the aroma of nature. It was one of the cities with the best air quality in Han. He decided to go on this journey spontaneously. Beach shirt, sunglasses, and an empty suitcase. A smile emerged on his face as he saw the stretch of crystal clear sky. He stood in front of the airport for a while before finally waving down a taxi. The driver diligently helped Jiang Chen with the suitcase and respectfully opened the door for him. The excellent service was because he made a reservation at Sheraton, which was the most expensive mansion beside the beach. The 7-day trip would cost him 220,000, which was enough for a down payment on a house. He would have never experienced this luxury in the past. But now, his goal was to enjoy the journey. The sooner he spent all his money, the earlier he could go back. Is Sun Jiao okay now? Jiang Chen began to miss his hot, personal assistant. If she were with him right now, the journey would be much more enjoyable. And Yao Yao, did she take care of herself? He looked at the view that passed by him. Compared to the always occupied feeling in the city, the island has a more relaxed vibe. Maybe I'll buy an island once I have money? He enjoyed the beautiful scenery and thought to himself. The car soon arrived at its destination. The Sheraton. It was a mansion located at the southernmost tip of the island, in the Dragon Bay, and it was also a natural rain forest. The silver-white sand extended along the shore. Coconuts and palm trees decorated the beach. Everything a beach was supposed to have existed here. The service at a world-renowned 5-star hotel was indeed stellar. The server greeted Jiang Chen as he stepped out of the car. With a smile on his face, he took Jiang Chen to his mansion. If you need anything, sir, please use the terminal to let us know. We'll be here immediately. We wish you have a great vacation and let Sheraton be a part of your delightful memory. With a professional and charming smile, the server passed an iPad-looking tablet to Jiang Chen. All the functionality of the hotel could be controlled from this terminal. He took a deep breath. Woohoo! He threw off his annoying t-shirt and underwear and jumped into the hot spring. Pooch! Water splashed as Jiang Chen lied in the hot spring. He was savoring this moment of peace. How am I going to spend the next 7 days? He didn't plan anything. In his view, the purpose of travel was to relax. The goal was not to do quests here. Since he had all the money and time in the world, he was here to just have fun. Without sunscreen, even Jiang Chen's improved condition couldn't handle direct exposure to the summer sun. He stood up from the hot spring and dried himself with a towel. After changing into a casual outfit, he walked to the balcony. The view directly overlooked the entirety of Sheraton's beach. This mansion was the best sightseeing spot on the beach. The beach was filled with attractive figures. Jiang Chen automatically filtered out all the dudes. Conservative southeastern beauties, blonde and blue-eyed foreigners, and even exquisite Middle Eastern hotties. Some of them bathed in the sun, some of them were playing in the water, some surfed, and some were playing beach volleyball. It was busy down there. However, he got tired of the scene quite quickly. It was boring watching someone else play. He grabbed a glass of wine and chugged it like beer. He tried to savor the noble taste of the wine, but all he tasted was a sourness. If Sheraton's manager heard Jiang Chen complain about the wine, the manager would probably kick him out for his lack of taste. Maybe he has seen too many crowded places in the city, and all he wanted was peace here. He rubbed sunscreen on himself and laid flat on a chair. The warm and cozy feeling was delightful. It felt as if every single one of his pores were being massaged. His weariness was also taken away gently by the light breeze of the sea wind. Away from the noise, he was enjoying the southern kingdom's sunlight. There was also an occasional crashing of the waves along the shoreline and the laughter from the beauties playing beach volleyball. The noises lightly tingled his rigid eardrums and calmed his tightened nerves. He closed his eyes and peacefully slept. No wonder all the rich people enjoyed the beach and the ocean in the movie. Why didn't I do this before? Jiang Chen spent his afternoon in the sun. As the sun began setting in the east, he enjoyed the orangey hue that stretched across the horizon before finally leaving the balcony. It was already dinner time. Because of Jiang Chen's stronger body conditions, he was more sensitive to hunger. Although he could dine in, he decided not to. It was his first time at a five-star hotel. He wanted to explore the place. What's the point of eating takeout on vacation? He used the tablet to read over the description of all the facilities in the hotel. It listed everything from maps to the characteristics of each restaurant. Just as he was glancing through each restaurant, the terminal vibrated. It signaled he had mail in front of his door. Mail? He opened the door and found a box. It was an invitation. The Saudi prince Mr. Yef, for his beloved princess, birthday party? What the hell is this? The most luxurious restaurant at Sheraton was hosting a dinner tonight. It invited all the celebrity and person of importance to attend. It was a birthday for a Saudi prince's princess. Jiang Chen, who lived in the most expensive room, obviously received an invitation. Since I already got the invitation, I'll see what's out there. Jiang Chen smiled as he displayed a glimpse of interest. Of course, see what's out there was equivalent to what was there to eat. Chapter 23, Upper Class. It was a private function, so the dress code of the gathering was formal. Jiang Chen was the only one that showed up in a casual outfit. His plan was to vacation here, so he had no intention of bringing a formal suit. A pianist performed at the front of the restaurant. The elegant piano resonated within the room. The elites from all kinds of industries mingled and bonded in search of their inner circle. Jiang Chen stood out among the others as he circled on the edge of the dinner table with plates filled with food. His primary interest was on the table stuffed with delicious treats. Networking nor dancing interested him. This steak is King delicious. He delicately chewed and nodded his head in satisfaction. He tried to act elegantly by gently rubbing the grease off of his lips. Although he was a foodie, if he didn't care about his gesture at all, he would be a peasant. Maybe security would even escort him out. He held his wine and gazed onto the person at the center of everyone's attention. The Saudi prince was indeed remarkably wealthy. The princess looked gorgeous. Her graceful figure curved like an hourglass. Her delicate nose paired with her crystal-like eyes created a perfect elegance. The princess possessed the facial characteristics of an Eastern beauty and the figures of the exquisite Western woman. Her composure also foretold her sense of class to everyone around. She didn't wear a headscarf, so she must have been from Lebanon. An enormous diamond, shaped like a star, decorated her flawless neck. Jiang Chen didn't know how much it would cost, but based on the size, it must be worth millions. The prince standing beside her was also handsome. Jiang Chen observed that the two protagonists were surrounded by either arms dealers to oil tycoons. There were a few Asian-looking faces mixed in between, but he couldn't be sure of their nationality. The rest of the elites gathered in groups. Jiang Chen saw several familiar faces. There was a renowned singer here, and the bald guy from Fast and Furious. He was surprised by the fact that so many celebrities were here as well, but he didn't have any intention of talk to them. Mr. Yef, why did you choose the mysterious East to celebrate this special moment with your princess? Haha, I am especially fond of this place. Last time I was in Hawaii, but it's quite nice here as well. There are no reporters here. Of course, there were reporters, but they were all invited by the police to have a chat. The conversation was probably about passport documents. Regardless of how frustrated those foreign reporters were, the police didn't let them go. In this country, it was more important to make sure you complied with the legal process than report meaningless news. When the time was right, then you could leave. In this country, money was more useful than capitalistic countries. Last time in Hawaii, Yef spent double the amount of money to hire gangs to take care of the situation. He also spent the same amount and bribed the cops to ignore the situation. The complete service of the country fitted the needs of the Saudi prince well. Because of the importance Yef placed on privacy, his friends would always take the journey to see him. Although the friendly Yef invited everyone who resided at the hotel, not everyone lived here. Some people booked the hotel for a few nights to access this resourceful network. Jiang Chen was quite lucky that he booked out the most expensive hotel. He didn't know that the Saudi prince was having a party here. Mr. Olaf, are you interested in 5 oil tankers of crude oil? Of course I am interested. We burn those every day. Haha, Mr. Zakov, if you would please chat with me. My pleasure. A deal was made almost every minute between each conversation. Jiang Chen sighed as he couldn't believe the scene. He witnessed deals happen while eating salmon. What a bizarre idea. He even heard a few Asian billionaires talk about business, stock markets, and even some private matters. Jiang Chen also heard some quite explosive headlines. For example, a rumored engaged actress showed up at the real estate tycoon's room last night. Also, a female singer known for her pureness was at a sexual party. Jiang Chen even downloaded a few of her songs. The news he heard shocked him, but he was not too surprised. Sexual favors were always common among the celebrity circle. If the reporters managed to sneak in, there would be unimaginable consequences. Of course, no reporters would show up. A 5 Kobe beef. Great stuff. These things are sure nice. Jiang Chen raised his eyebrows and glanced at the bulky white man across from him. This small piece is worth $300. The way you eat it makes you feel poor. The white male with short hair and a mustache smiled. He spoke fluent Mandarin, which surprised Jiang Chen. How did you know I was Han? Jiang Chen curiously asked. Han, Korean, and Japanese people were hard to distinguish when they stood side by side. Even Jiang Chen himself wouldn't be able to tell. I have great people identifying skills. My name is Bruce Miller. He smiled and extended his hand. Because you eat the most. Bruce thought in his head. He shook Bruce's hand and exchanged a friendly smile. Jiang Chen. I know you are up to no good. Jiang Chen also judged. Instinct told Jiang Chen that this guy was not simple. The not simple did not refer to whether he was rich or not. Everyone here has money here. The scent of blood surrounded him. Only people who have experienced life and death possess this unique kind of vibe. Jiang Chen was alerted. He didn't know what this guy wanted. Don't worry, it's great to see someone in the same trade. Bruce sensed Jiang Chen's cautious look and waved his hand. Oh, he thinks I'm in the same trade as him. Jiang Chen didn't know what to say. Am I that obvious? He didn't correct him and asked in a curious tone. Have you not noticed that the security here is looking at you? Bruce sipped his glass of wine and said slowly. Looking at me? Why are they looking at me? Jiang Chen glanced at the guards with their shades on. Their muscular body looked forceful in his eyes. He didn't know how Bruce noticed they were watching him through their shades. Jiang Chen also took a sip of his wine. Me? Mr. Bruce, I think you made a mistake. I am only an ordinary person here on vacation. Jiang Chen said in a calm tone. After Bruce had heard Jiang Chen's words, he let out a sigh. He was a mercenary, so he usually would not be allowed to show up at a gathering like this. However, since his team was responsible for Prince Yef's security, he was granted permission. The first thing that caught his eye was Jiang Chen. The sense of blood made him extremely cautious. This guy was dangerous. He didn't have bulky muscles, but he had a peculiar feeling that if they fought in close combat, there was an 80% chance that he would lose. If Jiang Chen heard his question, he would probably laugh and tell him that he would 100% lose. Regardless of how strong his technique was, Jiang Chen would destroy him with his strength and reflex. He noticed that Jiang Chen was only here for the food. So he questioned his judgment. Maybe it was a colleague just here on vacation. To better understand the situation, he exchanged opinions with his team before finally deciding to have a conversation. That's excellent. Enjoy your dinner, sir. Bruce smiled and raised his cup. Bruce didn't leave right away but instead chatted with Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen was also curious about the life of the foreign mercenaries, so the conversation was quite lovely. That time it was in Kane. We escorted a top government military to the front lines of the battle. We got flanked. After a couple glasses of wine, Bruce was clearly more excited. I thought it was the Russians because they had strong firepower. So in the end, we were forced to stay in a building until the tanks arrived. It was not a secret, so Bruce didn't hide too much. From their conversation, Jiang Chen knew that they were part of Blackwater International security team responsible for overseas businesses. Bruce was experienced in the battlefield. He was active in the Iraq War before he retired. Since we are just casually chatting, why don't you tell me about yourself, Mr. Jiang? I am quite curious, for I can't afford the beach mansion with my salary. The goal of making money is to enjoy it afterward. What would I save it for? My coffin? Jiang Chen smiled as he answered his question. He was also on his third steak. My bad. If you don't feel comfortable sharing your business, then don't worry. Bruce's fine dining etiquette didn't seem to match his history of violence. Oh, it's not that big of a deal. To put it in simple terms, it has to do with gold. Jiang Chen said mysteriously. Do you work in South Africa? That's a good place. Bruce nodded. No, it's in Asia. Jiang Chen shook his head. Bruce was quite surprised. To my knowledge, Asia is not a hotspot for a lot of business. Is there a lot of business there? Bruce looked confused. That's not true. There is a lot of business near the border. We get paid in gold. Jiang Chen made up a story. Bruce listened to the story and smiled back. He then kept his silence. A lot of conversations are better when they are off topic, especially for a mercenary like him. There were usually two types of border businesses: firearms or drugs. Both of them were not conversation topics suitable for the public. These types of gathering usually prepared private rooms for these matters. These gatherings also had FBA agents lurking around. Questions too specific would be impolite in public. The gathering safely reached its conclusion. After the prince's romantic remark to the princess, the elites began to depart. As Jiang Chen was preparing to leave, Bruce offered him his business card and said goodbye. The reason why he chatted with Jiang Chen was primarily because he wanted to keep an eye on him. Since the gathering was over, he didn't need to stay there any longer. Jiang Chen stuffed the business card into his pocket, as he would unlikely meet Bruce again. Jiang Chen didn't want to create too much attention in the modern world, but he kept the business card in case he ever needed something from Bruce. Chapter 24, Lu Yao. A gathering of this caliber obviously would attract the attention of other tourists. They could only look from afar under the close watch of security. A lot of fangirls screamed when they saw the muscular Dwayne Johnson. However, the elites all left with their female companion, under the protection of their bodyguards. People who attended the dinner were obviously either rich or important. This became an obvious target for girls who were looking for sugar daddy. It would be life-changing if they managed to create something romantic here. The opportunity always existed. Some of the celebrities actually preferred these types of girls. There was even an event that made national news consisting of these celebrities. Sheraton didn't make too much of a commotion over these people. They allowed pretty-looking girls to enter the hotel even if they lived elsewhere. If the place was too orderly, where would the fun be? Entuma? Are you by yourself? A beauty with the most pleasant smile casually flirted with Jiang Chen. She was wearing nothing but a pair of sunglasses and a simple bikini. The elegant curves of her breasts were at least a D cup. Her delicate and thin waist matched with her long and flawless legs, and slightly curled hairstyle gave her vibe that was both pure and graceful. She was no doubt sexy, but who knew if her breasts were real? Or if she was actually pure on the inside? Indeed, I am alone. Is there anything I can help you with, beauty? Jiang Chen gazed at her dazzling smile and smiled as well. He had no moral grounds to hold back. If the possibility of a one-night stand presented itself, he would not resist the offer. Of course, I am missing a male companion to enjoy the beach with. The beauty sensed that there was an opportunity and a confident smile appeared on her face. She strutted towards Jiang Chen and then leaned into him. With a light but hot and seductive breath, Jiang Chen felt a rush of desire into his abs. Oh? That's perfect then. My mansion at the beach also lacks the presence of a female companion. Jiang Chen approached the beauty's ear and whispered. The warm breath of air and the explosive news made the beauty gasp in shock. Sheridan's beach mansion cost at least 20 to 30,000 a day. When she discovered she hit the jackpot, she immediately became more enthusiastic. She hopped energetically beside Jiang Chen and grabbed him by the arm. Excellent, can you show me your mansion? Her pristine eyes portrayed her as an innocent girl, as her pair of boobs accidentally pressed against Jiang Chen's arm. She had a kind of pureness to her attraction. Her soft and sweet voice made Jiang Chen want to eat her on the spot. My name is Jiang Chen, may I ask what your name is, beauty? With chivalry, Jiang Chen hugged the graceful figure and smiled. Lu Yao. I don't know if you have watched that year before, but I am the supporting actress in it. Lu Yao seductively and gently breathed on Jiang Chen's ear's most sensitive spot and grazed her teeth against it. Her eyes were like a crest. You can call me Yao Yao. Teen dramas have been quite popular in recent years. Low production costs along with high reception rates made this genre of films fill every screen across the country. Although in Jiang Chen's teenage years there was no abortion, leaving the country or someone dying made up the majority of these films' plotlines. Jiang Chen was also not necessarily interested in the unrealistic scenarios, but he still went to a movie with a university classmate he had a crush on. Something interesting to note was that by the end of the date, Jiang Chen didn't even manage to hold the girl's hand. The busty but innocent-looking math class representative Chen Lele? That's a shame. There were only a few seconds for such an attractive character. He glanced at the massive pair of boobs and smiled. He would never tell Lu Yao that he went to see the movie with a female classmate and even masturbated to it before. I'll call you Lele. I prefer this name better. The name Yao Yao belonged to an adorable girl. Lu Yao without a clue smiled and followed Jiang Chen to the mansion at the beach. When they stepped through the door, her delightful figure was immediately pressed against Jiang Chen's body. Lu Yao proactively offered her seductive lips. He felt her impressive breasts push up against his chest as well as her flirtatious tongue dancing in his mouth. Jiang Chen's repressed desire was reignited. Lu Yao was skillful in knowing a man's sensitive spots, and she used her gentle hands to push Jiang Chen to his emotional climax. It was a fantastic time to have sex with an experienced woman as they knew all the weaknesses. They will proactively attack those weaknesses and lead the way to happiness. Also, responsibility was never an issue afterward. Lele, let's shower together. Jiang Chen's heavy breathing resonated beside Lu Yao's ear. His annoying clothing had long been removed by Lu Yao's teasing touch. Student Jiang Chen, you have to be respectful. With his warm and firm muscles, Lu Yao also felt a little wet. However, she suddenly frowned and rejected Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen was confused as he didn't realize what she was doing. Though when he felt the warmth of her hands still on his body and saw her desire-filled eyes, he immediately understood everything. No wonder she is an actress. Although she was a third tier at best, her acting skills were superb. With a smirk, Jiang Chen roughly grabbed Lu Yao and whispered into her ear, "This is not up to you, my math class representative." Water splashed again as the soothing hot spring became a steamy love bed. As Lele was already in her bikini, there was no need to remove it. Lu Yao fiercely resisted against Jiang Chen's attack, but at the same accepted his waves of thrust. In the water, beside the hot tub, on the beach chair, those two left their battle marks everywhere. Afterwards, did it feel nice? Lu Yao laid comfortably on the bed like a gentle cat and gazed sweetly at Jiang Chen. "You devil." Jiang Chen jokingly cursed at her while he slapped her butt. His actions made her scorn. The softness of the bed along with the soft melody whispered into his ears gently massaged his head. The occasional sea wind only made the moment more soothing. What a time to be alive! Jiang Chen exclaimed from the bottom of his heart. "What do you think, student Jiang Chen, of the math class representative's private tutor lesson? Are you satisfied?" Lu Yao gently joked, as she leaned towards Jiang Chen, with her chin resting on her palm. "It's believed that women are more attractive from this angle." "Extremely." Jiang Chen gave her a warm smile and reached out to touch her delicate face. "Like fine porcelain, crafted to perfection. Am I beautiful?" "You're beautiful." Jiang Chen answered honestly as he began to play with her fluffy hair. "Where is your girlfriend?" Lu Yao, all of a sudden, changed the topic. A sign of ambition emerged from her gentle, watery eyes. "In a different world." It would be considered a different world no doubt if Sun Jiao was considered his girlfriend. Jiang Chen didn't lie. Except the words were interpreted differently by Lu Yao as the obvious explanation was she passed away. Jiang Chen's identity all of a sudden changed from a wealthy man seeking for a one-night stand to a successful businessman that just lost the love of his life. This ignited the desire in Lu Yao's eyes. With a slight sorrowful expression on her face, Lu Yao gently hugged Jiang Chen's head and used her soft breasts to comfort his remorse spirit. In her eyes, Jiang Chen's silence was because of his loss. Jiang Chen didn't bother explaining. He quietly enjoyed Lu Yao's small gestures as little Jiang Chen, who just finished a hard-fought battle, began to show signs of life again. Sensing Jiang Chen's movement, Lu Yao understandingly smiled and tapped his chest with her finger. She stopped Jiang Chen from getting up. "Leave it to me." She enchantingly smiled and gracefully moved her body before lowering her head. After a long and tiring session, Lu Yao swallowed the fruit of victory in front of Jiang Chen. She was delighted when she noticed Jiang Chen's brief excitement at the act. "Are you feeling better now?" "Excellent. I feel like I am about to fly." Jiang Chen exaggerated. "Traveling by yourself is lonely, right?" She took a napkin and wiped the edge of her mouth. She then resumed to rest on the spot and innocently shook out her long and seductive legs. "Of course. No wonder a good vacation requires a beauty." Jiang Chen satisfyingly stretched out his limbs. "Do you want me to always be with you?" Lu Yao touchingly gazed at Jiang Chen. "I have 7 days of vacation. I hope you'll be with me for those 7 days." Jiang Chen euphemistically but determinately rejected Lu Yao. He didn't mind sharing a memorable experience with a supporting actress from the movie, but he would never accept her as one of his own. He didn't have any moral codes to abide by, but it didn't mean he was willing to accept. Lu Yao paused for a moment before she awkwardly smiled. She didn't insist. She knew too well the certainty in a man's words. She also clearly understood that Jiang Chen would accept her as his woman. She had the realization the moment she entered the acting scene. Except, she still felt slightly at a loss. Jiang Chen is young and powerful, which is significantly better compared to the beer-bellied movie investors. Jiang Chen's looks also appealed to her taste and were able to meet her materialistic needs. However, the reality was like what happened in the movie, Lele and the main actor didn't manage to be together. "In the next 7 days, you'll have an allowance of $10,000 a day. Buy something with it. You can also use my mansion free at will." Jiang Chen softly caressed Lu Yao's face and whispered. Lu Yao closed her eyes and covered Jiang Chen's hand as she gently replied. This amount was significantly higher than her salary, and the job was much more relaxing. There was nothing she was unsatisfied about. Jiang Chen had no weird fetishes and always treated her with gentleness. She thought about it before she slowly climbed on top of Jiang Chen. If that is the case, at least for the next few days, let's enjoy this rare vacation. Chapter 25, Robert's Invitation. The next day, Jiang Chen woke up when the first ray of sunshine shone into the room. He looked at the EP. When the EP was not fully deployed, the appearance was similar to a classy but odd-looking watch. Username, Jiang Chen. Muscle strength, 25. Bone strength, 27. Reflex, 29. Brain cell strength, 14. The 3 body conditions increased by 1 or 2 points, and that concluded the full potential of the gene vaccine. Any additional improvements would have to come from working out or more advanced medication. Sun Jiao's ridiculous numbers were the result of near-death experiences that triggered more potential from the gene vaccine. Sun Jiao and Jiang Chen both used the standard type of gene vaccine, but he could only reach her numbers in fury mode. It was not too hard to imagine the danger she must have had to face. He closed his EP and looked at the sleeping Lu Yao. Jiang Chen didn't wake her up and walked onto the balcony. He leaned against the fence and breathed in the refreshing sea wind that was blowing into his face. He poured himself a cup of wine and waited for the sunrise. Relaxing, calming, luxurious. What's next? What have I not experienced? He mumbled in deep thought. After he had returned to this world, his mental state became more stable. The bloody scene faded from his heart, and he felt his sanity was back to normal again. He sighed. He didn't like the taste of wine, but he still took a sip. It's not good for you to drink wine in the morning. Oh? You are awake. Jiang Chen paused slightly and turned around. Lu Yao tidied her hair against the sea wind. She didn't wear anything but was covered by a simple bathrobe. She looked quite graceful in the middle of the sea wind. Okay, why don't you watch the sunrise with me? He left the wine on the table beside him. Lu Yao gracefully walked towards Jiang Chen and slightly leaned against him. The rising sun reflected a golden shadow on her beautiful face. Jiang Chen, who peeked at her, was stunned. Are you looking at me, or are you watching the sunrise? Beauty, and the sunrise. Jiang Chen smiled. His vision extended beyond the horizon. I don't understand. Lu Yao fixed her slightly messy hair. You are gorgeous and smart, but why are you not popular? Jiang Chen cracked a smile. He saw the film that year, and although it was to chase after the girl who didn't end up liking him back, he still finished the movie. The supporting actresses only had a few scenes to emphasize the supporting actor's unfortunate existence. However, those scenes left deep impressions in Jiang Chen's heart. Her acting was astonishing for a supporting actress. Beauties can also be unfortunate. Particularly for an unsupported person like me. Lu Yao's lip pursed slightly. It was a mockery of reality and a self-mockery. However, she still gazed at Jiang Chen with some expectation. Jiang Chen didn't continue the conversation. He saw the expectation in her eyes, but he didn't want to respond. Everyone has their tragedies, but that's their story. Jiang Chen only wanted to touch the graceful and delicate chapters, not the sorrow-filled stories. Live life to the fullest. Even through the odd encounter with her, Jiang Chen was nobody in the crowded world. Since it was a vacation, let's just temporarily forget about life. Ding. The electronic bell disrupted Jiang Chen's peace. He lazily turned over the iPad terminal. Who is this? Jiang Chen opened the front camera. It was Bruce's fully mustached face. My dear friend, did you forget about me in just one night? Bruce's humorously accused. His fluent Han always shocked Jiang Chen. Haha, of course not. Let me open the door for you. Jiang Chen closed the terminal and put on his slippers. Your friend? Lu Yao looked at the white male on the iPad with curiosity. Business partner, I guess? Jiang Chen shrugged. Lu Yao kept her mouth closed. In her eyes, Jiang Chen was an elite that attended an international gathering. It would be rude of her to ask more questions. However, what she didn't know was that the guy was only a mercenary, and no business would happen until later. Jiang Chen was good at making people think too much. Smart people always saved him the trouble of explaining things. Do you need me to leave? No, but, why don't you go check out from your hotel and put your luggage here? Jiang Chen said with a naughty smile. You won't have any chances to go back. Jiang Chen decided it was better for Lu Yao to not be present. These rooms always prepared extra clothes for the wealthy. However, no one bothered to wear the clothes they provided. To Jiang Chen's surprise, there was actual business for him. My old friend, aren't you a bodyguard for the Saudi prince? What brings you here? Jiang Chen took a waft of Bruce's cigar. Hee hee. Bruce hesitated for a moment but soon cut straight to the chase. My ex-employer overheard our conversation yesterday. He's interested in you and wants me to make a formal introduction. Oh? Jiang Chen was caught off guard. Does he want to hire me? He didn't want to carry an assault rifle to a military hotspot to fight wars. He had better business to do. I don't want to ruin my vacation here. I think you are misunderstanding the situation. Bruce read the uncertainty in Jiang Chen's eyes. He took a breath and then blew a ring. Then in a genuine voice, he began, Robert Smith is a respectable middleman. He is in the crude oil and gold business. He once hired me in Iraq. Quite a nice fellow. He came here to attend the gathering of an old customer, and he is now living in the presidential suite on the 7th floor. Gold? Jiang Chen's eyes lit up. Looks like I must see him. Chapter 26, The Middleman. Welcome, you must be Mr. Jiang. My friend from the mysterious East. After Jiang Chen had entered the room, he saw a white male with blonde curly hair approach him with an amiable smile. He used a hand gesture that he learned from one of the kung fu movies and greeted Jiang Chen. Although he was white, Mr. Robert's face was nowhere close to white. His skin looked as coarse as sandpaper. However, his composure and clean appearance made Jiang Chen sense his respect. Nice to meet you, you must be Mr. Robert. Mr. Bruce introduced you to me. Jiang Chen felt a little weird but returned the same hand gesture. To be honest, it was awkward using the foreigner's way to greet others. The idea was simply a bit confusing, but that was what happened. Bruce is a nice guy. He took a bullet for me in the Middle East. It was a pleasure to meet him again, and as the famous Han proverb goes, a friend's friend is my friend. Am I right? Mr. Robert extended his hand. Of course. Your Han is remarkable. Jiang Chen held onto Mr. Robert's hand and firmly shook it as he expressed his shock. Although, Jiang Chen didn't know if what Mr. Robert said was truly a proverb. Haha, of course. I always had a keen interest in this mysterious Eastern kingdom. There are opportunities everywhere. Mr. Robert's eyes rested on Jiang Chen, and then he gestured gracefully. Please come in, my friend. I have a Lafite from 1982. I wanted to try it for a long time. I can't say no to this invite. The wine tasted different than the wine provided by the hotel. The bloody red liquid expelled an exquisite fragrance of thyme. Even for someone like Jiang Chen, who had no experience in wine tasting, he still tasted the difference. The man who stood by Mr. Robert's side was as silent as a rock. However, Jiang Chen sensed the monstrous nature from his stature. He had a pair of shades on, but his protruding nose indicated that he was a Slav. His bear-like vibe perhaps indicated that he came from a Soviet country. My bodyguard, Nick Belarusian. King. He's also a good guy and responsible for my safety. Mr. Robert noticed Jiang Chen staring. Bruce is a good guy, but Blackwater International sometimes does shady business. They are also a bit too close to the FBA, so I had to find a different partner. Despite the conversation revolving around him, the statue-like bodyguard did not show any reactions. Is your business dangerous? Jiang Chen sat on the chair and casually changed the topic. I heard from Bruce that you are a renowned middleman in the UA. Crude oil and gold? Absolutely. Apart from the relatively safe crude oil and gold, I have to sometimes obtain firearms for my employer. If I get my hands on those, there will always be someone after my life. Mr. Robert lit up a cigar. He offered Jiang Chen one as well. Your country has strict gun control, which makes it feel like heaven to me. However, good times are always short-lasting. I have a flight to South Africa at 3 o'clock. You sure you have enough time? Jiang Chen glanced at the clock, it was 11 already. Don't worry, Mr. Robert waved his hand and smiled. He then sat straight up. I am very interested in Mr. Jiang's business. Is there anything I can do to help you? Jiang Chen paused for a brief moment. He dusted the cigar and sat up as well. I hope there is no confusion here, my friend. I accidentally overheard your conversation with Bruce last night. It was an accident, but business always sprouts from occasions. I have been looking for opportunities here in the Far East, and I am still exploring. My instinct tells me that we can be great partners. Jiang Chen didn't make a fuzz about eavesdropping. With a slight interest, he continued the conversation. For example? Mr. Jiang, businesses are paid in gold, right? However, to my knowledge, your country's law prohibits the large sell-off of gold because it would attract the government's attention. Especially, gold without the proof of ownership. Looks like Mr. Robert is extremely knowledgeable about our country's laws. However, is there no issues with selling gold in the UA? Jiang Chen nodded without disagreeing with his comment. Of course there are problems. Though in the UA, we speak with the law and with evidence, not with politics. I have a professional team to deal those kinds of issues. Even if I have a little problem with the FBA right now, I am still here chatting with you, right? With a mysterious smile, he continued, how I do this? Let me give you an example. I incorporated a shell company in Saudi. I received a batch of crude oil from Iran. According to the sanction, my action is against the law. However, if the crude oil is sold through my shell company in Saudi, then the crude oil will be legal to sell within the international market. If you already told me this, are you not afraid? Jiang Chen immediately understood why. With such a strong bodyguard, he must have a strong security team. He now has a clear understanding of Mr. Robert's business. This middleman has the ability to access the black market. It looks like we do have a partnership opportunity. Jiang Chen smiled. I am an honest businessman. Mr. Robert saw that his deal was made and a delighted smile appeared on his face. I'll accept the gold regardless of the amount. As long as your gold is sold through my mining company in South Africa, it will be legal once it enters the international market. You don't have to worry about the specifics. You can just sell the gold to me. I'll take a 9% processing fee. Jiang Chen considered it. 9% was not a lot to begin with. All of his gold had no costs associated with it. It would be okay to sell a small amount to the gold shop, but if he did offer 10 tons of gold, not a lot of gold shops would dare to accept it. Even if he sold it in smaller batches, there was a high chance he would be suspected. The Lu Anshan guy also gave him a weary feeling. He probably wasn't that clean either. It's always better to be careful. Although selling gold to foreigners is considered smuggling, Mr. Robert probably has it figured out. Mr. Robert saw that Jiang Chen was silent. He wasn't sure either if the 9% is too high. However, this business was not risk-free. The capital to purchase the gold would be a problematic amount. If the amount was over $20 million, then he must take a private loan to fund the deal. The interest would not be a small number. However, if Jiang Chen possessed a large amount of gold, he could lower the fee by a percentage. Just as Mr. Robert was about to lower the price, Jiang Chen suddenly opened his mouth. No problem, but I have a condition. Jiang Chen's words surprised Mr. Robert at first, but a joyful smile ensued. I can guarantee the quality of the gold. It's the 24K gold you guys commonly refer to. I believe you have the expertise to determine that as well. Of course, the gold in the bank would be authentic. However, you have to be responsible for the transportation. I will only transport the gold to a location within the country. Also, you must pay in USD, on the spot. I will take no further responsibility once the transaction is complete. No problem, my friend. Mr. Robert agreed without hesitation. Looks like we have a deal? Of course, cheers. Jiang Chen gladly extended his hand. Cheers. Mr. Robert cheerfully held onto Jiang Chen's hand as they both stood up. Here's my card. If you are ready, why don't we arrange a time in the future? Also, it would be best to prepare a Swiss bank account, it is the most convenient. Absolutely, I wish you the best of luck. Can I learn a little more about your background? How much are you going to sell, Mr. Jiang? I'll have to prepare enough liquidity. Mr. Robert asked this slightly intruding question to prepare for the worst. Oh, there's no rush. I'll give you a call on July 15th. The amount is probably a few tons. Jiang Chen exited the room and left a stunned Mr. Robert. His face was completely blank. He didn't even realize he dropped his expensive cigar. A few tons? With the current market condition, an ounce of gold traded at $1,350. 1 ton of gold would be $43,402,500. At a processing fee of 9%, he would make $10 million with just 3 tons of gold. This is ridiculous. 9%? Easiest money of his life. A few tons of gold? He would have done it with 7%. How wealthy was Jiang Chen to not even negotiate? It also strengthened Mr. Robert's assumption that the gold was definitely from illegal sources. What kind of business is he doing? Did he rob the central bank? Oh God. It took Mr. Robert a while to recollect his thoughts. Then he gasped, oh my, I am going to be rich. He only made $500,000 selling 10,000 barrels of crude oil with the risk that the UA military may detain the shipment. However, Jiang Chen decided the fate of a billion-dollar deal in a few minutes. Nick, do you think our friend from the Far East is reliable? Mr. Robert murmured as if he was still dreaming. He knew Nick has no understanding of business, but he needed someone to tell him that this was not a dream. Sorry boss, I don't know a whole lot. Bruce expected Nick's response. He was silent, before he continued, however, I know this man is dangerous. Really? Does he know martial arts? Mr. Robert laughed at the statement. He made a funny pose as if he was Bruce Lee. Nick stared at the pretentious boss and shook his head. He knew his boss quite well. Whenever Bruce was excited, he would always make some funny poses to express his excitement. From a soldier's instinct, this guy is stronger than Bruce. It was his job to ensure his safety. Therefore, he gave his honest opinion. Mr. Robert was surprised by the comment. He is not a merchant? No way, my instincts are usually right. Nick hesitated for a moment before continuing. Maybe he is a merchant, but his combat technique is quite strong. My instincts tell me that even if he can't beat me with firearms, we are a 50-50 split in close combat. Mr. Robert took a while to process the comment. He has seen Nick's ability before. In Kane, when he sold firearms to the government forces under the permission of the UA government, the civil forces attacked him. Nick immediately pulled out the gun of the wounded government official and used the remaining 9 bullets to bring him back to safety. He killed more 10 civil militants during the exchange. Now Nick is saying Jiang Chen's close combat power is comparable to his? Mr. Robert, all of a sudden, burst into laughter. No wonder the Far East is a mysterious kingdom. Why don't we head to Egypt next time? Ha ha ha. No wonder Jiang Chen didn't hire any bodyguards. His prowess in fighting is enough in this gun-prohibited country. However, it had nothing to do with their agreement. Mr. Robert is an honest merchant. He always believed that honoring agreements would bring him long-term returns. He never did things that killed the egg-laying chicken. Even if he saw diamonds in a refugee camp in Africa in the hand of a starving kid, he would only exchange it with candy, not bullets. After all, a bullet is much more expensive than candy. Mr. Robert never doubted Jiang Chen's ability to provide the few ton of gold, nor did he have the ability to investigate his background on this mysterious piece of land. What is business without the proper risk? Mr. Robert was willing to make a bet. Jiang Chen's decisive attitude was definitely backed by tons of gold. Plus, there was nothing to gain for him in the end if it was a lie. Chapter 27, Enjoying Life. Jiang Chen was delighted. He acted calm and collected during the meeting, but he had a spring in his step as soon as he walked out of the door. Ecstatic was the only way he could describe his mood. He managed to sell off several tons of gold, which was something he had never imagined. His previous plan was to separate the gold into small amounts and sell it off to gold shops. Although it was inefficient and prone to be spotted by the local gangs, it was the safest way. A large amount would attract the attention of the authority, and they may force Jiang Chen to turn all of the gold in. They are always looking for ways to make money from regular people. What? This is your gold? How do you prove this gold belongs to you? Of course, Jiang Chen couldn't prove it since the gold really didn't belong to him. Jiang Chen was sure that the government would release a statement to say that even though the gold doesn't belong to the government, it doesn't belong to Jiang Chen either. He thought he would be able to sell off $100 million worth of gold before getting found, but now it seems like it would no longer be an issue. If this foreign friend helped him to find the means to sell, everything would be easy. He just needed to create a Swedish bank account, and the gold worth hundreds of millions would no longer be a problem. Transporting gold was not difficult at all. A ton of gold was only 0.5 cubic meters, which only would cost half a crystal in energy to store. When he left the main hotel building, Jiang Chen chose to return to the mansion. Lu Yao was probably still waiting for him. He got to the front of the mansion and saw Lu Yao under the shade of the trees. Lu Yao wasn't wearing a bikini like the first time he saw her. Instead, she changed into a beige dress with a laced floppy hat. Her presence could be felt miles away. She knew exactly how she attracted people, with the combination of her purity and seduction. Why did you take so long? I am starving. Lu Yao gave him a coquetry as she swayed her slender waist. Her coquetry didn't feel staged at all. Haha, I'll take you out for food. Jiang Chen opened the mansion door, and chivalrously took over Lu Yao's bag. What do you want to eat? Don't be shy. Yay. I want to eat at the Glacier Ocean restaurant. Lu Yao adorably clung onto Jiang Chen's arm like a loving girlfriend. Ok. I'll take you there. A bright smile appeared on her face as she was pleased with the way Jiang Chen responded. She hugged Jiang Chen's arm as they walked towards the restaurant. Perhaps she was acting, or maybe she was just following her heart. The division between the two was too faint to distinguish. Glacier Ocean Restaurant is a renowned restaurant in Sheraton and extending its influence to the rest of the Sanya. The water-themed restaurant was surrounded by the mixture of the pristine sky and the mysterious sea. Arrays of palm and coconut trees showcased nature's vibrant energy. The vast collection of wine displayed at the entrance of the hotel left all the diners dazed. Then the customers were quickly captivated by the sophistication and class of the restaurant. The private room in the middle of the restaurant was even more intricate. The aquarium-like design transformed the dinner into a unique experience as if they were in the midst of the ocean. There was no need for extra decorations, as the reflection of the water's waves created the perfect atmosphere. Jiang Chen and Lu Yao sat in the private room. I heard the view at night is even better, but the view at noon is also remarkable. Jiang Chen savored the fresh taste of salmon meat and took a sip from the delicious Wenchong chicken soup. Delicacies filled the table, and he was even dazzled by all the choices. This Boston lobster is delicious. Lu Yao playfully stuck out her tongue. She skillfully used her graceful finger to dissect the lobster in front of her. Beauty is something one can truly enjoy. Jiang Chen picked up a piece of clam. The way Lu Yao ate was extremely pleasing to the eyes. Hee hee, pretty right? She pouted as she continued to struggle with the lobster. I was talking about the lobster. Lu Yao's cute look didn't stop Jiang Chen from teasing her. Screw you. Lu Yao didn't have a big appetite, so she chose all the light but fine dishes. The majority of the food went into Jiang Chen's stomach. He had an appetite comparable to 2 adult males. Looks like you are ecstatic today. She rubbed the corner of her mouth with a napkin as she looked at Jiang Chen's lively eyes. Indeed, I signed a big deal. He didn't hide anything. Eh? I thought it was because of me. She joked. With a mischievous smile, Jiang Chen approached Lu Yao. How big do you think the deal is? 1 million? USD? With her red lips open, she took a sip of wine. She didn't care how much Jiang Chen made as it had nothing to do with her. However, she understood a male's ego as Jiang Chen wasn't keeping this from her. She pretended to be curious. 1 million? That's pocket change. With his back leaned against the chair, Jiang Chen smiled. Pocket change? Lu Yao shockingly stared at Jiang Chen. At least 100 million, Jiang Chen replied. He pretended it was not a big deal. Ahem. Lu Yao covered her chest as she ruefully looked at Jiang Chen. She accidentally spat out her wine out. I can't believe you are so skillful, this is such a pity. Lu Yao pouted as she took another sip of wine. Jiang Chen knew what she meant by pity, but he would not change his mind. No way, I remember I used my real skill last night. Jiang Chen emphasized the words skill as he smirkingly looked at Lu Yao's facial expression. Lu Yao paused slightly before she understood the meaning behind Jiang Chen's words. Her face turned burning red like the sky at dawn. Pervert. Her gentle fist striking Jiang Chen's did not bother him at all. After the meal, Jiang Chen took Lu Yao's hand and strolled along the swimming pool. It was a beautifully decorated pool of water. The palm trees along the side added a sense of nature to the swimming pool. Under the white umbrella were deck chairs of the same color for the tourists that needed rest. I thought you don't like crowded places? Lu Yao accompanied Jiang Chen as her crystal eyes observed his face. You are right, but it would be disappointing if we just stayed at the mansion. This swimming pool is a famous attraction at Sanya. Oh? I thought you were someone who was always busy, Lu Yao asked curiously. Busy people may not like crowded places, but I am quite pleased with this scene. For example, the blonde European beauty right there. Jiang Chen changed the topic with a smirk. Does my bikini not look attractive? Lu Yao defiantly raised her D-cup chest. It's not the same. Everyone is different. Jiang Chen tried to explain his reasoning. If it were his girlfriend, he would not praise other women, but since that was not the case, it didn't matter. Jiang Chen's playboy look made Lu Yao want to yell and laugh at the same time. She pouted like an attached girlfriend, as she used her finger to squeeze his waist. She controlled the force just enough so that Jiang Chen would not get hurt. I am a D-cup, don't you think I am bigger compared to that woman? After teasing Jiang Chen for a moment, Lu Yao fixed her hair as she lifted her chest up again with a seductive look. Who knows if these are real or not? Jiang Chen ridiculed as he sneakily touched her chest. Then how do you know mine are fake, and hers are real? Lu Yao persisted the question. So they are real. Jiang Chen pretended to be happy. In this day and age, everything could be fake. So, Jiang Chen didn't think it was real. Fool. You didn't notice it after touching it for so long? Lu Yao blushed as she vexed him with her eyes rolled. The coquettish look made Jiang Chen hard. Lu Yao became flushed as she noticed Jiang Chen's invasive stare. Although Jiang Chen's techniques were still lacking, with some guidance and his long-lasting stamina and recovery time, it was easy to enjoy the heaven-like feeling. Lu Yao, of course, didn't reject Jiang Chen's intimate invitation. She defiantly stared at Jiang Chen as she used a finger to hook onto his collar. Then they walked towards a secluded washroom on the first floor. Here, although it was a question, Jiang Chen's hands already grasped onto Lu Yao's thin waist. Pervert, I'll scream for help. She seemingly blamed Jiang Chen with her words but then swiftly locked the door behind her. There was not a lot of traffic in the area. Most of the people were either in their rooms or on the beach. Since it was the washroom, there were no cameras as well. The unique environment made Jiang Chen feel a particular kind of sensation. Lu Yao's blushing face indicated that she probably felt the same thing. You'll have to keep quiet, Jiang Chen smirked as he whispered into Lu Yao's ear. He grabbed her smooth legs and entered into her. 2 hours later, the two of them came out of the washroom. Lu Yao's legs felt weak as she half hanged onto Jiang Chen's shoulder. You pervert, couldn't you have been more gentle? Haha, the way you held onto the wall and covered your mouth was quite cute. Jiang Chen laughed as he dodged and grabbed onto the hands coming at him. From a bystander, the two looked like a couple displaying affection without a care in the world. She didn't know why, but she felt tears in her eyes. What? Why don't you tell me about it? Jiang Chen smiled at Lu Yao, who wanted to say something but stopped. It's okay. Lu Yao turned his face around as she flashed him a smile. The cheerful smile even dazzled Jiang Chen for a moment. It was not because of her beauty. That smile reminded him of his high school time. At the naive age, free of trouble. A time where studying hard would deserve recognition. A time where being good at basketball would receive praise. Jiang Chen remembered that smile belonged to Chen Lele in the movie, The Careless and Free Girl. The smile left the supporting actress with an endless amount of regret and despair. Am I sinking into the plot? What am I thinking? I am a woman who loves money, and I know men like you dislike women like me. One with no self-respect. Lu Yao faintly opened her mouth. She still held on to Jiang Chen's hand but walked one step ahead of him so he couldn't see her expression. This is only a life choice, I never disliked you. Jiang Chen gently answered. He didn't lie. But unable to accept, right? Lu Yao suddenly turned around. Jiang Chen noticed her eyes were slightly red. Is she acting? However, Jiang Chen was unwilling to change his opinion. He sighed, wanting to explain himself. You don't have to say anything. Lu Yao turned around with a bright smile and pecked him on the lips. After seeing Jiang Chen's confused look, she jumped in front of him and began walking by herself. I know, and I understand. A girl like me is not good enough for you. I just haven't completely given up yet. With her back towards him, Jiang Chen couldn't see her expression. Lu Yao had to force a smile before she spoke again. What if we met 2 years earlier? When I didn't debut yet? Would you have fallen in love with me? If I fell in love with you at that time, would you have chosen me? Jiang Chen thought about the person who watched that year with him. Too similar. Jiang Chen's calm and direct rhetoric question made Lu Yao feel his uncertainty. She turned around as she forced another smile. She understood what Jiang Chen meant. Probably not. An honest response. Lu Yao somehow remembered her university time. She remembered the boy that used 99 candles to write out, Lu Yao I love you, under her dorm room window. She was moved for a brief second but still rejected him because he couldn't provide the life she wanted. Lu Yao gave her first time to a director whose name she didn't even want to remember. She did it in exchange for the supporting actress role. She had no regrets because she received $80,000 in pay along with a ticket into the entertainment industry. However, at this moment, she regretted. For some reason, in her eyes, Jiang Chen began to coincide with the boy she rejected. If the poor Jiang Chen asked her out 2 years ago, she would probably not even look at him. It was not a question of right or wrong, but only a matter of choice. Since this is a hard-earned vacation, why think about these bothersome questions? Jiang Chen said faintly as it disrupted Lu Yao's thoughts. You are right, let's enjoy the bench. A relieved smile bloomed on Lu Yao's face. The smile was beautiful. Except for a bright jewel hanging at the corner of her eye. Silently, it rolled down and mixed in with the sand. Among the waves and tides of the southern county, it was negligible and minuscule. Chapter 28, The Return. Over the last 5 days, the two spent every moment in joy. Lu Yao took Jiang Chen to all the famous attractions. They did everything from surfing at Wuzizu Island, enjoying the sunlight at Yalong Bay, wandering along the beach, to leaving names on a couple lock. Lu Yao engraved Jiang Chen's name, but Jiang Chen left Chen Lele's name. The happiest time was always the briefest, but it was pleasant. Until they went their separate ways, Jiang Chen didn't see any more sorrows or tears. Sir, would you like a cup of coffee? The flight attendant's gentle voice disrupted Jiang Chen's thought. I'll have one please. Okay, please wait a moment. A cup of steamy coffee was soon in front of Jiang Chen. He stared at the rising steam and smiled. That was a pleasant trip after all. I wonder if I will ever meet her again. He thought about it some more, and an even bigger smile appeared on his face. He didn't know why he wanted to smile. He glanced at the pristine cloud outside the window and the middle-aged professional sleeping beside him. Jiang Chen finished the still steamy cup of coffee. It was bitter, but a little sweet. The brief Sanya vacation came to an end. Jiang Chen walked out of the Wanghai airport with his luggage. The noisy metropolitan. He took in a deep breath of the smog-filled air and flagged down a taxi. To Balian. Sitting on the passenger side, Jiang Chen took out his almost outdated Samsung phone. He was about to call Xia Xiyu when he noticed a message popped up. Weibo? He opened the Weibo app that he hasn't opened for a while. He was surprised to find out someone at him. A pleasant trip, thank you for your company at Jiang Chen. Along the text was also a picture of an airplane taking off. Jiang Chen noticed that it was his flight. This girl, she went to my terminal without telling me. Jiang Chen smiled. They said goodbye at the airport, but he didn't expect her to be there to watch him depart. With a bit of narcissism, Jiang Chen swiped the screen up with his finger. The comments on the bottom consisted primarily of people wondering who Jiang Chen was. To begin with, she was not a famous actress, so there were only a few comments. He thought about for a moment before half-joking replied. Haha, I really enjoy your superb acting skill. How about I invest in a movie and ask you to be the female lead? Deal. You said it. Instant reply. Hey man, are you on Weibo? Oh? Do you have Weibo as well? Jiang Chen asked the taxi driver. Of course, it is pretty fun watching people make memes online. You are looking at a celebrity's Weibo, right? Hehe, yes, how do you know? Jiang Chen curiously asked. There is a special symbol beside their name. Look closely. The taxi driver skillfully guided Jiang Chen, though to be honest, these celebrities' Weibo are boring. They are too busy to reply to you. You must be new on here. Jiang Chen smiled in agreement. He wanted to reply, there is no way you believe my joke, right, but that post was gone. What happens if a post is gone? They deleted it, it's common. The taxi driver rolled his eyes as if he was an expert. Deleted? This girl. Jiang Chen sighed. The situation was funny to him. It's only a movie after all, how much would it even cost? Inside the Jade restaurant, Jiang Chen quietly waited at the table. His eyes lit up as soon as he saw a graceful figure approach him. He signaled for the person to come over. You finally appeared. You don't even pick up your phone. Xia Shiyu gave him a hard stare. The grin on his face made Xia Shiyu irate. She has been taking care of the company in the past few days. She even used her own money to make sure everything could be finished on time. To ensure she completed Jiang Chen's task, she had to find lawyers, bureaus, and banks. She even went to their future office. However, he was nowhere to be seen. Jiang Chen left all the dirty work to her and went on a vacation by himself. She took in a deep breath to stop an almost inevitable emotional explosion. Don't be so emotional, I'll bring you next time. Sanya is a beautiful place. Jiang Chen grinned with no signs of guilt. This is your company. You have to at least show up to something. You should come with me to the bureau this afternoon. I have all the documents here. Take a look. She placed the bag on the table and ignored Jiang Chen's invitation. Thank you so much. Jiang Chen didn't pick up the documents. Instead, he genuinely stared at Xia Shiyu's emotionless face. At least you have some conscience, she hissed at him. Although her face still looked cold, Jiang Chen felt she was no longer angry. I'll go with you in the afternoon. Let's not talk about work. Order whatever you want, this one is on me. Oh, you paid for the fees, right? The company will reimburse you for it. Xia Shiyu was not humble and immediately ordered a few dishes. She glanced at Jiang Chen but did not even see a slight change in his grinning face. She was frustrated. That was ineffective. She thought as she didn't manage to vent her anger. Jiang Chen didn't notice her intention. He still had $100,000 left, which far exceeded his expectation. Is there something bothering you? Although she kept a stern face, Jiang Chen still noticed she was slightly distracted. Yes, I am worried about the company's future. Xia Shiyu dived straight into the problem. If our strategy is to use advanced technology, we have no way of gaining a competitive advantage as a newcomer. But don't new company have more growth opportunities? With her concern in his mind, Jiang Chen replied. That's for a company with a strong core competitive advantage. Xia Shiyu stared at Jiang Chen, who showed no sign of concern, with a look of defeat. Do you know technology? You probably don't even remember calculus. Is that even a question? Jiang Chen laughed. Who remembers that stuff after graduation? Just because I don't understand it doesn't mean other people don't understand it. You don't have to worry about research and development. I'll give you a hint. Every company have a focus, such as game development. We can just springboard off of this idea and enter the cell phone market following our success. Stop right there. Xia Shiyu interrupted Jiang Chen's speech. She rubbed her temples. Cell phone games? Web games? Or massive multiplayer online games on the PC end? Based on the current market condition, I recommend cell phone games. Regarding the cell phone market, it's great that our founder has a vision for the future, but one step at a time is critical for sustainable growth. Of course, so we will do it one step at a time. He casually waved his hand. Also, this is not only my company, but it is also your company. I'll give you 5% stake in the company, so keep up the good work. It was not only until years later did Xia Shiyu realize what tremendous amount of wealth was given to her. Of course, that was the aftermath. In the afternoon, Jiang Chen went to the bureau with Xia Shiyu to take care of the paperwork. Xia Shiyu was indeed CEO, secretary, quality. Jiang Chen only needed to sign a couple of documents before it was approved. Xia Shiyu took care of the entire, tedious process. Jiang Chen was extremely pleased. He didn't study business administration, so his understanding in the area was extremely limited. The best kind of president, in his ideal world, was the kind who only needed to set the direction of the company. A trustworthy CEO would take care of the rest. If he had to consider all the fine details, he would be frustrated to death. Xia Shiyu did exceptionally well at this point. She prepared everything in advance. They only needed a part-time accountant to complete the tax process. Jiang Chen took Xia Shiyu's recommendation to hire a part-time accountant. They only needed to pay $200 in salary per month. Most of the new companies did this in the early stage. After everything was completed, it was already 5 o'clock. Jiang Chen used the opportunity to treat Xia Shiyu again before they went their separate ways. With the stable income and debt crisis being resolved, Xia Shiyu moved back to her original apartment. Jiang Chen, also, headed back to his familiar apartment. He took his luggage and returned to his apartment. He refreshed his Weibo while lying on his bed a couple of times and teased Lu Yao for a bit before he got back into the real business. He had a pleasant vacation, but his return time was also approaching. Therefore, preparation was necessary. He looked on Taobao for food. Canned food was the primary choice because of the ease of storage. He ordered 2 boxes of beef, pork, and fish. Then, for a balanced diet, he also purchased cans of vegetables and fruits. Finally, he bought instant noodles and crackers as well. He was not going to eat those himself, but it would be smart to sell it. In addition, Jiang Chen purchased a bunch of female clothing. Don't be confused, he had no weird fetishes. He ordered some for Sun Jiao and Yao Yao. Within 2 days, a courier delivered the almost mountain-high stacks of boxes to Jiang Chen's place. He generously took out $200 bills, and the courier happily moved the boxes for him. It's good that he didn't have any furniture, for the boxes made it impossible to maneuver through his living room. With sandpaper in his hand, he began to work. He removed the manufacturing data and location on the can and threw it into the storage dimension. Although tedious, he had no other choice at this stage. It would be better if he could directly receive shipments from the packaging companies without any pictures or logos. The storage dimension size grew substantially. It managed to fit the size of half a living room's worth of boxes inside. Jiang Chen guessed it had to do with the gene vaccine, and it was great news for him. The storage of these boxes cost about 2 energy crystals, and it would cost the same to take it all out. There were around a couple hundred energy crystals inside the dimension, so the cost did not even slightly bother Jiang Chen. He also purchased groceries from the supermarket. He bought an ample amount of rice, fresh vegetables, eggs, and meat. After they managed to fix the fridge in the mansion of the post-apocalyptic world, it can store plenty of food. Once they managed to move a few more fridges from the buildings outside, the food storage ability would grow exponentially. Ideally, it would be more convenient if he had a walk-in freezer. He should check the restaurants in the post-apocalyptic world, they should be easy to repair. Before he headed home, he remembered something. He walked out of the pet store with a hamster. When he got home, everything was ready to go. Jiang Chen picked up his familiar backpack, but then raised his eyebrows and put it down again. Since Sun Jiao already had a clue of what's going on, it's probably time to tell her and Yao Yao. When they went to the 6th Street, he didn't carry toast with him. He stored the toast in the storage dimension. Sun Jiao must have noticed it, but she didn't ask. Since she had a lot of trust in him, it was no longer necessary to keep things a secret. It's better to confess to her. It will be easier in the future, and I no longer need to be secretive about things. Jiang Chen made up his mind. He's prepared to selectively tell parts of his secret to Sun Jiao. With the confused hamster in his hand, he sat on his bed and took a deep breath. Apocalypse, I am back. Chapter 29, Eagle's Crash. This is Eagle Eye, we are at the target area. Roger, this is Eagle 2. Eagle Eye, open electronic life detection. Roger. Opening electronic life detection. The aerodynamic exterior design had an external door at the back with a heavy machine gun attached. The disc-shaped turbo accelerators on both sides of the craft emitted a deafening noise as the air vibrated beneath them. Inside the vessel were soldiers fortified to the teeth, each armed with pitch-black turbo packs that held terrifying single-person heavy firearms. On the right side of the craft, Luding Town's logo was drawn over traces of what seemed like scratched-out symbols. Attack Helicopter, 51. PCA equipped the amphibious attack helicopter in year 2153 to primarily serve the Southern Sea Fleet as it was particularly effective in beach landings. But after the war, it became less effective. The 2 black helicopters flew separated by 1,000 meters and hovered above a building. Wang Shiwu glanced at the life detection device that displayed the unknown bacterial level outside of the armored craft. He then flanked the building outside of the helicopter, a gloomy expression cast over his face. This has to be the place. Lifeform matches. The target is in the building. Eagle Eye requesting permission to attack. Negative. Wang Shiwu cautiously gazed at the building. He activated the communication device on the power armor. This is the Dark Knight Squad. We are above the target creature. The target creature information is unknown. We request missile support. This is the command center, missile support approve. The cost of a direct invasion was too high. Wang Shiwu couldn't risk his comrades' lives without even spotting the creature. He cautiously requested missile support in hopes of exposing its body. Eagle Eye, Eagle 2, missile will arrive in 1 minute. Please increase altitude. Roger. Roger. The two helicopters began to increase their altitude to avoid friendly fire. The sunrise cast rays of yellow paths through the radiation dust. With the disgustingly greenish-yellow particles emerging from the yellow building, the entire area looked like an egg from above. What's hidden inside the building? Wang Shiwu locked his eyes onto the murky yolk. Why would Liuding's elite force show up 30 kilometers away from the city border? The story began with the battle meeting 2 days ago. Bohai aircraft carrier, command tower, meeting room. Area coordinates, 412-151, displayed an unusual life signal. Our scientists are unable to determine the creature's identity, but the crystal energy indicator has increased to 90,141, surpassing the limit by 300. Since it is within our strike range, we have to stop it from evolving further and retrieve the crystal. I need you to take care of this thing. Do you understand? The middle-aged man in an old PCA uniform stood and commanded from in front of the full sensory map. Yes, sir. The uniformed soldiers barked out in unity. They wore the PCA Navy SEAL uniform to the meeting in an organized manner. That is all for this meeting. Yes. The electronic life detection device was commonly used in the wasteland. Research indicated that all life forms emitted certain life signals that could be detected over long distances through emissions. It had been used as a tracking device during the war and after it, a rescue aid. In the current apocalypse, it became a civilian equipment. The unit detected not only humans but also any life signal that could be recorded on the radar life electronic screen. The life signal was proportional to the energy of the creature. Mutant creatures had a higher life signal than humans. The advanced ability to calculate a mutant creature's crystal energy had only been completed after the war and was possessed by the majority of the larger survival bases. After recording any unusual life signal, the survival bases in the vicinity often chose to attack the creature as it was extremely dangerous to let mutant creatures evolve. Unfortunately, there was always the possibility of strange creatures forming since all mutations were spontaneous. Evolutionary pathways that once took thousands of years could take 3 days in a nuclear crater. The evolved creature could be a harmless bug or a colossal monster. Any creature with over 300 crystals were considered extremely dangerous. But it did not mean they were strong. Compared to the ones with 40 to 300 crystals, the extremely dangerous mutant creatures were easier to deal with. A 100-pound human, for example, would have a difficult time beating someone who was 200 pounds since they were not in the same category. But what about someone weighing 500 pounds or 1,000 pounds? They would be considered disabled, unable to maintain basic life functions. Similarly, mutant creatures with over 300 energy crystals were considered disabled. Under the influence of radiation and other factors, the continuous mutation endlessly expanded the life energy, but that did not necessarily equal strong destructive ability. Once anything surpassed a limit, it would be a hindrance. Liuding Town had similar strike operations in the past where their target was an unknown creature with 110,000 crystal energy. Once the squad had arrived, they were met with a crowd of corpse-eating creatures and a massive half-eaten meatball. A meatball that filled the entire street. The clueless squad had to call missile support to blow the meatball into pieces. With an energy detector they were able to locate the meter-tall crystal and transport it back. The rest of the meatball attracted an endless number of corpse-eating creatures in the vicinity, so it was impossible to retrieve. It was unfortunate because it would have been an excellent source of nutrient supply. These excessively mutated creatures had no fighting power most of the time. For economic reasons, they were much easier to deal with compared to Death Claws or Roshan. With this reason, selfish commanders were spurred into action to destroy the mutant creatures. Wang Shiwu was dealing with such a creature. Although the soldiers began to whisper about finishing the mission and taking a shower since the power armors were extremely humid to wear, Wang Shiwu felt something was off and cautiously followed the missile support procedure. The eagle eye in the front opened the radar to provide exact location for the missile at Liuding. Prepare for missile launch, raise the barrel. Quick! A few people in work uniforms hustled. They controlled the equipment around the launch pad as a 10-meter-long barrel emerged from the aircraft carrier. The sleek-looking barrel had a famous name, electromagnetic gun. Distance between 2 points are 310,203 meters, detecting the thickness of the target. Use a 10-kilogram missile, raise to 47 degrees, and adjust power setting. The technician on deck was changing the settings with a tablet computer. Bohai's fire control system had originally been destroyed by an electromagnetic pulse during the war. These fixed gun barrels were later fixed by survivors and connected to nearby terminals to be controlled at close distance. The technician pressed a fire. A blue spark filled the barrel as the high-density electricity generated a short but deafening noise. There was no explosion. There was only the initial noise of the missile breaking the sound barrier. A trail of light blue casted across the horizon. The force of the electromagnetic ripple pushed the barrel slightly backward. Steam began to rise as the liquid cooling system activated. A light flashed from the back of the aircraft before fading into the endless ocean. The flat-headed missile flew across the sky. The remaining electricity from the initial firing maintained the internal detonation device and also created a vacuum around the missile. As it approached the target, the vacuum layer disintegrated. The speed coating began to melt as the missile expanded. Followed by a red trail, the cylindrical missile hit the building like an iron fist. The deafening explosion spread as the missile penetrated the building as if it was paper. The building crumpled under the force of explosion, a hollow space left behind by the missile. Direct hit. Great shooting. Target spotted. Wait. What is that? Damn it. Eagle 2, report the situation. Eagle Eye. Crashing. Crashing. Please send assistance. Sounds of chaos. From the explosion, a giant emerged. No, to be accurate, it was a giant gun. A dark red energy began to focus before ejecting a beam. The red ray cast a straight line across the sky. It didn't directly hit any helicopters, but it rendered all electronic devices in the area useless. Warning. EMP strike. The power armor's EMP resistors opened suddenly, but all the devices suffered different degrees of damage before they were triggered. Because of the EMP resistance, all communication signals were blocked. Fuck. EMP. Jump. Wang Shiwu roared into the intercom. In the rapidly plummeting craft he managed to regain his foothold. With heavy steps, he walked to the door and jumped out. Due to the power armor's sophisticated design, it was only momentarily disabled before all functionality returned. The two helicopters, however, did not have the same fate as the EMP instantaneously destroyed all electronic devices aboard. Wang Shiwu gaped at the giant red barrel. What the hell is this? A creature that can emit EMPs? Destroyed the helicopter without even directly hitting target. Landing device activated. After he read the letters in his helmet, Wang Shiwu let out a sigh of relief. Cracks emerged from his knees, waist and shoulder as the small turbo engine appeared under the metal surface. Wang Shiwu felt a sudden jostle before he finally regained control. The soldiers began to land on the ground. Mutation virus, concentration level 97. Damn it, what is this goddamn thing? His comrade spoke through the intercom. Stay alert. Make sure everything is sealed. These floating viruses are giving me a bad feeling. Wang Shiwu checked the air filtration device. These viruses covered the filter in minutes. The concentration was so high they were almost in chunks. The greenish-yellow appearance made their stomachs clench in disgust. Should we evade first? The thought crossed his mind before he decided that he must figure out the terrifying barrel's origin. The helicopters were already destroyed. Even if Lu Ding sent support, it would be extremely dangerous. Be cautious of filter status, prepare for attack. Roger. In case anything happened, Wang Shiwu cautiously recorded the picture of the battlefield and sent it to the command center. He grabbed the machine gun from his back and pushed forward. There was no response from the command center. The virus could block radio communication? Probable, since the ray created an EMP effect, so the virus definitely had something to do with it. No, this was still too odd. Normally these extremely dangerous creatures would attract other mutated creatures to feast on, but there were no rats to be seen in the area. It was peculiar. Wang Shiwu was drenched in sweat before he heard the screams of his comrades. Above us? What the hell is this? Wang Shiwu immediately looked up. Energy began to fill the red biological cannon once more. There was nothing in the sky. What was this thing shooting at? Fire. Immediately. Without any time to think, Wang Shiwu ordered the attack with his gut feeling. 12 power-armored soldiers focused fire on the red cannon. The bullets shot out in clusters. No one knew if it would do anything, but there were no other solutions. 500 meters was the effective range of machine guns. The spark from the bullets cast a glow on each of the vicious faces as the rapidly rotating barrels unleashed its firepower. Suddenly, the half-building tall cannon contracted. It was no longer charging. Wang Shiwu was surprised that their bullets were effective against this creature. But they were proven wrong as another explanation presented itself: the energy had been filled to the maximum. With terrified expressions, they watched as the cannon exploded. The red flash submerged the entire area in shockwaves that emitted across the radius of explosion. Silence ensued. A few red-colored meatballs were propelled into the distance with the help of the explosion. Eagle 1, Eagle 2, Dark Knight offline. Life signal is changing. Target is dividing. The commander's face had gloom written all over it. His hawkish eyes stared at the full sensory screen in the air. The 90141 crystal energy symbol disappeared and was replaced by 12 unevenly distributed energy life forms. The mission had failed. The commander was not saddened by the loss of the 12 combatants and 4 pilots. Under their virtual reality training program, it was easy to produce these types of talents. But the 2 attack helicopters and the 12 sets of max-I power armors cost a total of 220,000 energy crystals. This was a disaster. As to how the mutant creatures would impact the wasteland? The future is unknown. Chapter 30, Back Home. The familiar but grimy air occupied Jiang Chen's nostrils as he stepped back onto ground. He took in a slow, long breath and looked at his surroundings, the abandoned cars, cracked roads, collapsed buildings, and the mindless zombies. This was the place he had left. He glanced at the cage in his hand where the cute but ignorant hamster lied silently in the cage. Jiang Chen poked its soft belly only to confirm that it had passed away. He let out a sigh. The nut had been its last dinner. The idea of traveling with another human was unrealistic for now. Jiang Chen felt a little upset. He followed the familiar street. Jiang Chen was careful not to disturb the powerless zombies that wandered the street as he approached the mansion. During the day, the zombies were not frightening at all. He would even go so far as to describe them as harmless. But once night settled, even the nearly invincible Deathclaw would have to think twice before entering a zombie-filled street. Without the limitation of sunshine, the zombies were as crazy as someone on drugs. They utilized every single mutated cell in their body to chase anything alive. The mansion looked the same, but the iron gate was reinforced with steel wires. Sun Jiao must have done this while he was gone. He walked up to ring the doorbell. Soon after, he heard steps from inside before the iron gate was flung open. A graceful figure crashed into his chest. Jiang Chen anticipated the hug with both his arms extended. He welcomed the warmth he had longed for since he had left. A wet sensation covered his lips. "You're finally back." She gasped to gather her breath as she ruefully looked at Jiang Chen. "I missed you dearly, my honey." Jiang Chen slapped the firm but as a grin appeared on his face. "Comin." Jiang Chen stepped into the mansion as Sun Jiao skillfully locked the gate behind her. He noticed that though it looked the same from the outside, the mansion's interior had been upgraded. The small decorative forest was chopped down to create watchtowers by the wall that were equipped with barbed wires and lined with hidden trenches. Even the mansion building itself was reinforced with the windows fitted with steel bars. "What did you do to my mansion?" A bitter smile appeared on Jiang Chen's face. "This is no longer a mansion anymore, it's a fortress." "It is going to be safer this way," Sun Jiao proudly said. "The mansion wasn't protected at all before. I gathered some materials from the area and reinforced the place. I think anyone would notice if we didn't do anything." Jiang Chen sighed. "But this is our home after all. We can't pretend that no one lives here. There will be survivors that notice this place eventually and spread the news." "You're right. Thank you." Jiang Chen realized he had underestimated the situation and how crucial the problem was. In the apocalypse, zombies were not natural protection. They were pretty much decoration during the daytime. The survivors were not the friendliest people either. The absolute neutral 6th Street was considered to be the most sympathetic force on the wasteland. If people discovered that there was food here without any protection, floods of people would rush to this place. Regardless of Sun Jiao's strength, there was no way she could guarantee the safety of this place. The most dangerous creature in the apocalypse weren't the zombies but the humans. "But why did you break the marble statues at the front door?" Jiang Chen directed a pained gaze at the mansion. The mansion had been luxurious before, but now it had no aesthetics whatsoever. It occupied too much space. There was no need for cover within the wall. "It would just prevent me from shooting intruders," Sun Jiao reasoned with him. "Okay fine, you are right." Jiang Chen sighed and accepted the idea. He pulled open the mansion's security door. "Where's Yao Yao?" "That girl missed you a lot too." Sun Jiao glanced at Jiang Chen with a puzzled look. "She fixed his collar for him. Go to her room. She's been tinkering around with some small equipment to help you out." "Uh-huh." Jiang Chen nodded and walked to Yao Yao's room. He slowly pushed open the wooden door, the hinges squeaking loudly. The room was dark. If not the rhythmic breath, he would have thought the room was empty. "This girl, is she still in bed?" Jiang Chen could not help but smile. He knew too well that this timid girl was always a bit dizzy in the morning due to her malnourished body. A light, metallic scent filled the room which made Jiang Chen sniff the air. The delicate wooden desk most likely once belonged to an equally adorable girl, but the table now was filled with electronic equipment and gadgets. The full sensory computer Jiang Chen had purchased for her was on it as well as some other unknown devices. There was a silicon board that looked as though it had come straight out of a science fiction novel on the table corner, but half of it was broken. The exposed wires were fused to another piece of circuit board. Although he was curious, he didn't have the bad habit of touching other people's possessions without permission. He moved his feet only to feel an obstructive force. He picked up a programming book full of professional terms and notes, reminding Jiang Chen of the study gods back in university. Although he passed his computer level 2 examination, 1, he did not understand the book contents at all. Is this a more straightforward and concise programming language? Yao Yao curled under her bed sheet as if in a sweet dream. She looked like a cute squirrel and her slightly pouted mouth like soft candies. Her hands hidden in front of her chest gave Jiang Chen a strong desire to protect her. Looks like she's been eating well. Jiang Chen kneeled down and indulgently rubbed her soft hair. Although the room was dark, her slightly chubbier face indicated her improved body condition. The gentle and soft snores made Jiang Chen not want to disturb her sweet dream. But he really wanted to hug her. Yao Yao, Yao Yao, Jiang Chen lightly called. Hugh. Hee hee. Yao Yao dazedly rubbed her eyes as she sat up. With her sleepy eyes, she stared at Jiang Chen and smiled. Then like a koala, she wrapped her arms around Jiang Chen's neck and closed her eyes again. Hee hee, big brother, don't leave anymore. Yao Yao has been trying very hard. Yao Yao is excellent now. She murmured the words before it turned into a light snore again. This girl, did you mistake me for a pillow again? Jiang Chen was about to wake her up when he saw the dark circles around her eyes illuminated by the dim lighting from under the window curtain. He thought about her murmured words and felt a bit teary. Yao Yao is good. Sleep for a bit more. He placed the sleeping Yao Yao on the bed again and tucked her in. He leaned down and gently kissed her soft forehead. As if dreaming about the sweetest thing in the world, a joyful smile appeared on her face. The slightly quirked lips had a silver string attached to it. Jiang Chen left the room and closed the door. Did you eat her? Sun Jiao watched with a mocking gaze as Jiang Chen came down the stairs. Am I a monster or what? He rolled his eyes and sat across from her. Yao Yao, Sun Jiao hesitated, but she made up her mind and said, Yao Yao, she really cares about you. She's been studying computer-related knowledge for the past few days and even asked me to bring her a couple of books from the library. I don't know if what I did is correct. She's been extremely dedicated. Maybe she wants you to notice her, and this is her way of expressing her emotion to you. Sun Jiao was adjusting the way she phrased her words to correctly express the intention behind the conversation. Thank you. Only thank you? But only, you are part of my family. Jiang Chen made up this mind and solemnly looked her in the eyes. She suddenly climbed onto the table and grabbed him by the collar. In front of Jiang Chen's shocked eyes, she laughed. You mean, you're going to eat her as well? That's brotherly love. What do you want it to be? Jiang Chen looked at the suspicious Sun Jiao. Her unexpected actions made her difficult to figure out. Oh? I can see that she likes you as more than a brother. Jiang Chen became silent. Don't you want to say something? Can't you let me go first? No, what if you disappeared again? Tears suddenly rolled out from Sun Jiao's eyes. It made Jiang Chen frantic although he didn't know why. What made this audacious girl cry? I won't disappear, honey. Jiang Chen said with a bitter smile. He reached out his hands to hug her, but she blocked him. Who knows? You have girls on the other side, right? The gay Sun Jiao used to stare at him startled Jiang Chen. Why are you asking this? Jiang Chen dodged her eyes. Yes or no? Sun Jiao did not give Jiang Chen the chance to avoid the topic. Jiang Chen took a deep breath and honestly answered, yes. Prepared to be tied down by this wild girl, Jiang Chen was surprised when she withdrew her hand from his collar. You are an honest guy. Sun Jiao didn't get off the table. She half-kneeled and looked into Jiang Chen's eyes. She smiled? Why is she smiling? Jiang Chen had a strange look on his face. I am honest to my woman. There is no reason to lie at all. So, I am fortunate to be your woman then, Sun Jiao teased him. If you don't want to be, I won't force you. The complexion on his face gave away his anxious thoughts. Sun Jiao had the same expression. She gently bit her lips. Of course I want to be, but I am a bit angry at the fact that you ditched me here to find another woman. I'm sorry. Jiang Chen silently lowered his head but after a pause, looked up again. He carefully met her eyes. Although whatever I say will not make the situation better, if there's anything I can do to make up it to you, I can do it. Really? Anything? Sun Jiao mischievously examined Jiang Chen's face. Okay then, let's start. Before Jiang Chen could gather his thoughts, Sun Jiao had already made her move with the agility of a cat. Jiang Chen had no chance to react before he was tied down to the chair. Sun Jiao stepped on Jiang Chen's armrest, giving him flashbacks of when they first met. I mean. What did you say? Sun Jiao acted like she didn't hear him and put her head closer. Jiang Chen now realized that she had changed into something else when she went upstairs, switching from her tracksuit into an attractive shirt. It was his first time seeing Sun Jiao wear stockings. He thought about the clothes he had bought for them and realized clothing after the apocalypse was not an issue as there were stores everywhere. No, nothing, this rope just looks familiar, Jiang Chen said with a bitter smile. Hee, then let me show you again, she whispered, her red lips grinning wickedly, how great I am. 1. Computer Level 2 examination is a certificate you can acquire for computer proficiency.